a Dredfunn original production. Please sit back and enjoy.
Hey guys, Dredfunn here with another, I don't even know what the heck I'd call these videos. Sort of just displaying my artwork that I recently collaborated with Bob Gymlan and his YouTube channel. This is the Ape Canyon version. He contacted me online to do 28 illustrations that would fit into a video that he was doing here on YouTube. So these are all the finished illustrations right here, and I'm just gonna project through, and this is a nice little set the scene. We've got the cabin where the incident happened and the rock wall in behind, as well as the little cliff face. It's a nice setted scene. It's not exactly what the cabin was like, but it's pretty close representation. Illustration number 2 is a close-up version at a different angle, sort of more looking up. I chose to do it this way, just kind of like so you could see it's this, and then from a different angle up close. All of this is done with pen and ink and pencil. Most of the pencil gets erased out at the end, and I do a final ink, you can see right here. On to illustration 3, which shows the characters that appear in this. Fred Beck, Marion, Marion's son, and then a couple other characters that fill out the storyline that Bob wanted to go with. We got illustration number 4, and this is another one that I just took some generic mountains and sort of combined a couple different faces and used a front spot. Kind of looks like a couple different mountain ranges that I sort of just changed a little bit here and there. Illustration 5, this is when Marion comes back to the group and he's seen the footprints and everyone's getting all excited. They don't know what to do. The characters go off down and to a creek or a crick or a river face, and you can see I wanted to try to make sure that I made the characters emote. The shock and the emotion. A lot of this Bob wanted to be sort of just quick sketches and sort of just setting the scene, and each one sequentially fits in with the next. Like, you can almost take this and assemble it together into a story form. Hey, maybe that's an idea. So we then go on to illustration 7, which is a close-up of the footprint. Not my most happy illustration I've ever done. I think I could have done a slightly better job. And then we go into illustration 8, which is also illustration 9. There were some sound effects that were going to be added, but I don't know. I ended up adding quite a bit of emotion into their faces. So, I got the nice fire. This is where they're hearing what they believe are the apes off in the distance, beating on trees and howling and stuff like that. And then 10 to 13 is just a series of, as you can see, just showing them, they're in the canyon area here, and these hoots and howls would be bouncing off the rock walls and echoing, and this just gives you a nice reaction. It's a silhouette form, a nice little trick that some of us use in comics. Illustration 13 and 14. 13 originally didn't have this beast character. I drew it all as is. So you got Fred and Marion, and then I added the beast in per Bob's request, so you could sort of show it without and with. And then we get into illustration 15, which is the men discussing stuff in the cabin, getting into it, what's going on, what should they do. They end up sleeping. This is 16 and 17, but I originally drew with the eyes open and then just painted over them to show them sleeping. In hindsight, I should have done it reverse. I should have drew this image originally and then gone in and added the eyes later, like to show the shock and awe of hearing whatever these creatures were pounding on the Ape Canyon there, or the cabin. So illustration 18 and 19, again, it's one of those ones where I originally drew it without any of the eyes in the background, and then went ahead and added them in later with some white paint. I know some folks in the comments section were like, oh man, you made it look like there were too many. Like most of the witnesses said, they only really saw 3, 1, 2, 3, but they felt like there were quite a bit more. So this is just trying to illustrate that when you're telling a story. And you'll notice here, like, the chitting that fits around in between the logs of a cabin would, I mean, that big would let in so much airflow, so it would have been packed a little bit tighter. I imagine they probably would have been staring out of a much thinner area, but for the sake of setting a scene and making it look like a visually dramatic image, I thought this would look a little better. And we move up to 20, and we got these guys are in mid-attack, and you can see they're staring out at some of the chitting, and they've actually pulled that stuff down, and so they can get a better look. The apes, or whatever the creatures are kicking at the door and throwing rocks. Then we get the illustration 21, just showing again more of this, them reacting while they're inside the cabin to the creatures attacking the cabin. This is a moment, illustration 22, where one of the creatures actually reaches in through the logs and grabs a nearby axe. It's never described that it's on a table, but I assumed that unless the creature was reaching in to the bottom one, which I don't know, why would the axe be on the floor? Chances are it would be on a table, a chair, or something up and out of the way. Probably, actually, if anything, it would be close to the fire, but for the sake of the dramaticness of the pose, I wanted to show Marion and Beck sort of looking at the creature, and you can see that it's actually reached right in. And here you can tell we're definitely going for an ape or Bigfoot type creature. Illustration 23 and 24. Again, did these in small because it sets the scene. I don't really have to get too finite in detail. And again, switching back and forth from comic and realistic images, it sometimes can be tricky. So here we got the Ape Creatures Attack, and it's a sort of outside view. You can see 3 silhouettes sort of doing their business with the rock wall and a nighttime sky. And then we got the characters leaving the following day. They've had enough of this business and they out. And this is illustration 25, one of my favorites of the whole thing. Bob didn't really, he gave me a loose description of what he wanted the creatures to look like. I immediately decided that the less detail I put in the face and focus more on the anatomy, the better. A lot of folks tend to have strong views on what the creature looks like from the eyebrows down. Most of us generally, believe that it has a large type of cranium, maybe not a sagittal crest or an elongated skull, but it's definitely not human looking. Well, human looking, but different. And anyways, cast it with the light behind it, he would be cast in a dark silhouette like this. And that's the moment that they pull up the gun and they're getting ready to shoot. And this is the subsequent illustration 26 showing the creature, which is one of the dramatic points in the Ape Canyon tale, where the creature is shot and falls over the cliff face, and thus they can't get a body, they can't really see it. But anyways, I'm sure the shot was taken at a much farther distance, the way it was described, but for the sake of dramatics, I mean, what if I show this 100 yards away? I can bring my line to here and then make the creature, the size of his hand. And then again, we're back to, something like this. So for the dramaticness of the image, I went with that. And then we come up to the final bunch. We got illustration 27, which is just a reverse setting of the scene. So very much like the start, where we got illustration 1 up here. It's a similar one that just sort of shows a peaceful gathering of the folks getting ready to take off, or they've already left, and we got like the birds in the background, and it's just peaceful. And then the final illustration 28, is Fred Beck in the woods, coming across the spirit Vanda White. It's another part of the Ape Canyon mythos. If you're interested, by all means, check out Bob Gymlan's YouTube video, his Ape Canyon rendition. My art does not do his videos justice, but it's nice that he's given me this opportunity. I like working with talented people, and man, working with him was a blast. I really do like the Ape Canyon story, all the history behind it. So I hope you guys like this video, give you a little insight into some of the illustrations and what we went with and why I chose them, and what Bob originally had wanted. Like I said, this all begins with the written word, and from there you can craft something into a physical image that looks pretty cool, and you get a bunch of them together and you got yourself a story. Try not to mess up too much. So anyways, yeah, hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button, all that good jazz. Dredfunn out.
This has been a Dredfunn.com production. Thanks for watching.